Welcome to CFDb Interviews, and we're here today with Brett Granstaff, President and founder of Ridgerock Entertainment Group and actor-writer for The Masked Saint. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. Do I have your permission to start recording the interview?
Yes.
Thank you. So first of all, Brett, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role within the Christian film industry?
Sure. I'm originally from Tennessee, and I moved a lot growing up, and ended up going to NYU Film, and then moved to LA, and decided I was going to make it in Hollywood, and that just didn't really work out the way I thought it was going to. So I moved back, and then I moved back to LA. I was like, no, it's not going to beat me, and I started producing, and did pretty well for myself. And then I just decided that I'm a person of faith as well, and I wanted to do something more that's kind of in line with what I believe, as opposed to big Hollywood action movies and that kind of stuff. So a friend of mine gave me a script called The Masked Saint, and I read it, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. This might be a good first step to kind of get into the Christian film world. And so when I decided to do that movie, I have a company called Ridgerock Entertainment, and I decided to set up a company called Ridgerock Faith as a subsidiary of that, and it's just going to specialize in faith-based films. So hopefully The Masked Saint will be the first of a few, if not a lot, of Christian films. So fingers crossed this one does well, and we can do a couple more.
Yeah, that sounds great. I
talk
to a lot of people who actually start out the same way as you did, getting into Hollywood and taking a few roles and seeing how things go, and then they end up moving into the faith-based industry. So it's interesting to hear that. Can you tell us a little bit more about your role as Chris and a little bit more about the film The Masked Saint?
Sure. So The Masked Saint, when I first read the script, I was kind of intrigued by it. Like, okay, here's a guy, Pastor Chris, who is also a professional wrestler, who always ends up kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe it's the right place at the right time. Do you believe that God put you where you're supposed to be? So he ends up kind of being a town quote-unquote vigilante, but not really. He just, like I said, just happens to be kind of at the right place at the right time and intervenes in a couple of robberies, and then all of a sudden the cops are looking for this masked guy who keeps like being a good Samaritan, so to speak. And I was really intrigued by the film. It's actually inspired by true events about a pastor based out of Florida, Chris Whaley. And so he wrote a book called The Masked Saint, and it kind of goes over a lot of things that happened to him throughout his lifetime as a pastor. And so we kind of took that. They had a script, and I read it, and I decided I wanted to work on it a little bit. So we kind of condensed it into kind of a more linear storyline. So his book's kind of a lot of vignettes. And we basically tell the story of Chris Samuels, who is ex-pro wrestler, a new pastor who's trying to find his footing, and just everything's kind of going wrong at the church, the small church. They need extra funds. They don't have enough money, and so he realizes he has a God-given talent to wrestle. So he gets back in the wrestling ring to help kind of pay the bills for the church, and it's a unique little story. I don't want to give away too much, but it's definitely I always say the tagline. It's the pastor who's also a professional wrestler, who doesn't always turn the other cheek, so to speak.
Well, it sounds intriguing. We haven't had the chance to actually watch it yet, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. And, I actually spoke with Chris as well. And
oh, great.
So got a little bit of the background there, too. And between the two of you, it definitely sounds very intriguing. And I hope a lot of people will definitely watch this one and support it, and very much looking forward to it. So I have to ask, did you have any unique experiences that you had during the filmmaking process that you could share with us?
Oh gosh, there was a lot of unique experiences. First and foremost, I've never wrestled a day in my life, and when I decided to do the film, I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna learn how to wrestle. And so we brought in this guy who James Preston Rogers, who actually plays the Reaper in the film. And he went through the WWE training camps, was about a week away from premiering on the WWE, and then got hurt, injured, decided, you know what, it just wasn't for him, and decided to become a stuntman and an actor. So we hired him to teach me how to wrestle. And I had 8 classes. And it was funny, the first day of class with them, which was 2 hours long, so we really had 16 hours of wrestling training to do this entire movie, which I still don't know. God had to be watching out for me, literally, because like I don't know how I wasn't just injured, but no one else on the set. We had a lot of high level stunts going on, and no one was injured. It was really a blessing that we were able to finish this film.
Nice.
But so the first day of classes, he sits there and he talks like this. He's like, "Hey, bro, just so you know, most people spend like 6 months learning how to fall. You got 15 minutes." And I'm like, what? He goes, "You trust me?" And I was like, yes. He goes, "Okay, bro. So close your eyes and I'm going to pick you up." So he picks me up and I'm just kind of sitting there and he's like, "Okay, bro, you ready?" I'm like, I think so. Just, "Okay, breathe." And then just like slams me down as hard as he can to the canvas. I'm like, "Oh!" Like, he's like, "Bro, you got to breathe." And I'm like, "Thanks." So, yeah, that was my first like 5 minutes in a wrestling ring. I just got like squashed and I was just, it hurt so bad. And I will say this, there is nothing fake about wrestling. It hurts. Like you can't fake taking like a body slam off the top rope. It's just, you can't fake it. There's no way. You just got to do it. And it hurts a lot.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So that was one of the many experiences in the film. But I will say we were definitely blessed, and I really think God was watching over his production, because if you watch the film, one of the things I really wanted to bring to Christian films in general is kind of more of a Hollywood level of filmmaking and production value.
Right.
I've seen a lot of the faith-based stories, and they're great, and very inspiring. But a lot of times, it's just the production level isn't always there. It's budget-wise, and just people aren't as trained. And I really wanted to be like, you know what, we can up to the level, so to speak, of the production value. And so we ended up. When you watch the film, it looks like we spent a lot of time making the movie, and I called in a lot of favors, and we filmed it over 15 days.
Wow.
Really, really fast turnaround for the amount of action and everything that we have in the film. And I have to say, I think God was watching out for us, because there's no way we should have finished on time and on budget as we did. We had a lot of high-level stunts. We filmed in Sault Ste. Marie, which is northern Ontario, which got their first snow. I think it was like September 15th. The year we filmed it, and we were filming in like mid-November, and I was just waiting for like that massive snowstorm to come in. Yeah. Did not happen. We didn't have a single day that we had to push, and then literally the next week they got a huge blizzard. So we were just blessed all around with the film.
That is great.
I really think God was watching out for us to get this movie made, because they were just between that, and then we had a couple times where the actual funding fell through during production, and we were about 30 minutes shutting down, and we just had some people come in that were like, I know we believe this film, we want to make it work, here's the money. And that just doesn't happen. I mean, I've been on numerous films where that's happened in Hollywood. That never happens. Films usually end up shutting down when that happens, and we were very blessed with the movie. So
that's great. I'm glad you shared all those stories with us, and I guess you really don't think about the back end of things, because we as the viewers are just looking at the end result and don't realize how much goes into the actual filmmaking and the funding and everything else. So that's really interesting. I know that you had mentioned that Ridgerock Faith is like an arm of the Ridgerock Entertainment Group. So I want to ask, are there any other faith-based projects you're working on now that you could tell us about?
I have, hopefully we'll be doing a sequel to The Masked Saint, which we've already started working on the script for. We already have the treatment and everything.
Nice.
And actually, we kind of conceived it as a trilogy, so we actually have 2 more stories, but we actually already started writing the next one. I have that, but that'll probably not be for another year or 2. We have to wait, obviously, till this one comes out. And then I have a couple others that are in development we've been working on. I have another true story. I love true stories. Even in my big Ridgerock Entertainment Group, I like true stories.
Right.
I try to do true. And I have another true story that we're working on that's it's not 100% faith-based, but it's very inspirational. It's a true story about a boxer who was kind of exiled from the States, went and lived in Canada, and just disappeared from the boxing world in the late 70s. And he's working as a dishwasher, just completely broken. And there's a little boy that he meets, that he befriends, and who wants to learn how to box. So he kind of teaches him how to box. And kind of through this relationship with this boy, he kind of, everything kind of becomes healed, and ends up getting inspired by this little boy and just this boy's love of life to get back in the ring and ends up winning the world championship. So it's just a really good, heartfelt, inspiring, not necessarily 100% faith-based, but it's a lot of story of redemption and, second chances. And that's kind of, which kind of leads me into the Masked Saint. That's kind of a lot of the themes of the Masked Saint, redemption and kind of second chances.
Yeah, that's, I too am a fan of films that are based on true stories. They seem to have something about them that is just so amazing, and I think it's just because the truth is behind them. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with the Christian Film Database listeners that you haven't already covered?
Movie comes out January 8th in theaters nationwide. Love the support of the faith-based community, because it is, there definitely is, a huge audience for Christian films, and I don't think that there's really the audience gets the content it deserves in terms of the amount, because in Hollywood particularly, it's all kind of comes down to the bottom line. And we've seen a few films recently that have kind of broken the mold and hit the big ones kind of out of the park. War Room most recently, So I think the more that the faith-based audience supports Christian films, I think we're going to be able to see a lot more Christian films in the marketplace, because Hollywood was going to kind of wake up and be like, oh wait, this is actually a good market, and we need to support the filmmakers here. And I think we'll be able to see more and more faith-based films come into the market in the next couple of years, is my hope. So.
Absolutely. So would you like to close with letting people know how they can know and learn more about you and your work, and even more about the film?
Yeah, sure. So go to themaskedsaint.com, and it's our website for The Masked Saint, or check us out at The Masked Saint Movie on Facebook. And we have all kinds of information about the movie, about the filming, a lot of behind the scenes, kind of learn about the filmmakers and the actors that are in it, and just some great inspiring messages of hope and faith. And themaskedsaint.com, in theaters January 8th.
And how about you and Ridgerock?
Yeah, sure. You can check out, if you want to know more about myself or my company, you can check out ridgerockentertainment.com. And you can find out more about not only Ridgerock Faith, but also kind of some of the more mainstream films that I do and that I'm working on as well.
Okay, that's great. I want to again thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes, you have been listening to CFDb Interviews. For more about CFDB, please check out our website at christianfilmdatabase.com.